How would you see an offensive, positive, action-based War Department operate in the world today?
Because of the power of weapons, including some that we only talk about and haven't used yet, there is no way to wage war. Man is too puny a beast to cope with hydrogen bombs. There's no way you can do it. You can destroy the earth, but that's not winning a war. So when you ask me to define that, we can still fight. We can still make victory. We can still go on the offense. But we will do it economically.
Yeah.
And we are doing it economically. The first battle of the new kind of war was called the Arab oil embargo. We made the entire world pay tribute to the people who possess petroleum. And it's quite a battle. And it separates the winners and the losers, but that's the new battle. The second battle is being prepared, and it will be the battle over food. And this blends in with the idea that increasingly we hear of Malthusianism. We are beginning to agree or to permit the concept of genocide because of too many people on Earth. Well, that fits in with this next battle that's coming up. Petroleum, in a sense, is a luxury. You can walk to work. You don't have to drive to work. But when the battle becomes the battle for food, there's no alternative. You have to have food. And this is, war still is on. See, people's minds are still, we're ready to fight. Terrorism is a function of this, but terrorism is not war. Terrorism is mosquitoes, and you kill mosquitoes if you can. But food becomes a weapon of war, and there's no way we can have a war anymore. War is done when you're talking about divisions, battleships, bombers, because of hydrogen bombs.
Right. Would there be any way through the thicket, with the benefit of hindsight, that you would see possible such a form of a department of government having been retained and maintained in the years immediately after World War II, with all the accompanying pressures and transformations of that time? I suppose the answer would be no, because of the nuclear capabilities.
Yeah.
That
you see, the leading commanders immediately after Hiroshima had no trouble in seeing that if you replicated that around the world, you'd just do it until the world was ashes. Well, when the Russians perfected the hydrogen bomb, and remember, the Russians initiated the hydrogen bomb, perfected it first. We did it second. We could immediately, we knew they had exploded a weapon, a device, equal to about 50 megatons. And that device is so powerful that it not only destroys an enormous part of Earth and puts radiation over a larger part, lethal radiation, but it actually blows a hole through the atmosphere above the Earth and goes on out into space somewhere. It's beyond control on Earth entirely. Well, our leaders recognized that as far back as 40s and early 50s. And you can see that ever since then, our presidents, including Eisenhower, could not visualize or even see the business of going to war anymore. The Korean War was just kind of a war game. When MacArthur really began to move, they called him back. The Vietnam War was even worse than that. There were no attacks, no moves anywhere. Anloa Valley, a very hostile area in the heart of the Vietnam, was captured 8 times by our forces. And once they captured it, they had no reason to keep it, so they walked away. And then it got hostile again, and we captured it. That's the way war is being fought. And war now is outmoded entirely. I don't think many people are ready to accept that. But if I were teaching evolution of warfare today at Yale University, I would put the closing chapter on war, and I would simply end with the explosion of the hydrogen bomb. And just say, there it is.
That's it.
Doesn't mean you can't fight and shoot people.
Right.
You know, we've got automatic rifles on the streets now. I mean, I'm not saying people aren't going to be killed, but we are not going to have a war between country A and country B effectively anymore if hydrogen weapons are involved. Iraq and Iran can fight to exhaustion. Notice they didn't go anywhere. They fought each other for, 6 or 7 years and didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything except kill each other. If either one had had a nuclear weapon, they'd have had to end the war mutually because they couldn't live with them. You know, they ended it in their countries.
Yeah. Discuss